I still laugh sometimes, thinking about that Saturday morning, the day my garage turned into a crime scene, a courtroom, and a block party, all before noon. Let me tell you, if you've ever wondered how far some people will go just to control their little slice of suburbia, you're about to find out. And if you've never tangled with an HOA president on a power trip, count your blessings. I learned the hard way that some folks are more dangerous than the criminals they imagine behind every garage door. My name's Nathaniel Thompson. I'm 52, a retired Navy machinist. Spent 25 years fixing nuclear subs, deep water, tight spaces, always under pressure. When I finally came up for air, all I wanted was peace, some classic rock, and the sweet clatter of old tools in my hands. Restoring vintage bikes, just me and my friends, a few cold beers, and the therapy that comes from doing honest work with your hands. So, I buy this house, 412 Maple Street, end of the block, extra wide driveway, double garage. Feels like I hit the jackpot. I even checked with the HOA before signing. Their own rules said home workshops were allowed, plain as day. I figured, what could go wrong? I could practically taste the autumn air mixed with motor oil. That was supposed to be my therapy. That was my plan. But plans don't mean much when Dolores Weather lives across the street. Now, I want you to picture your worst nightmare neighbor. Multiply that by 10, and maybe you're close. Dolores ironed her jeans, vacuumed her garage every day, and her white Lexus looked like it had never even seen dust. She'd been HOA president for 6 years, mostly because nobody else had the energy to out-crazy her. First time I met her 3 days after I moved in, Shapir behind me, clipboard at the ready, clicking across the driveway like a stormtrooper in designer heels. She sized up my tool chest like it was radioactive. "What exactly do you plan to do with all that equipment?" she asked, as if I was about to bury nuclear waste in the backyard. "Restoring bikes, just a hobby," I said. "Therapeutic after all those years in the Navy." Her face twisted like I'd told her I run a meth lab. She sniffed and literally sniffed. Section 12.4 of the CCNRs regulates commercial activity. We maintain high standards here. I explained I'd checked the rules, but she was already looking at me like I was a stain on her granite countertops. "You're destroying property values with this filth," she barked, staring right through me. Yeah, it was personal from the start. I could see it. Saturday with my old Navy buddies, Bob the electrician, Jim the plumber, Carlos with the heavy equipment, and Rodriguez, who just happened to be a police chief, Should v. Been easy. Classic rock playing soft, beers sweating in the autumn sun, garage door wide open. Just American men doing what men do, fixing things, talking shop. But at 3:47 p.m., Dolores showed up with a tape measure and a sound meter, waving them around like she was about to shut down a nuclear reactor. "Gentlemen," she announced, "I'm documenting multiple CCNR violations. Unauthorized commercial repairs, excessive noise, zoning infractions." Carlos just shook his head. "Lady, we're fixing his dad's old Harley. Nobody's paying. This isn't a business." But Dolores wasn't listening. She snapped photos, made notes, pointed at my Harley poster, and accused me of running a commercial operation. Monday morning came with a certified letter and a $200 fine for illegal business activity, plus a threat. Remove all business signage in 10 days or get fined $50 a day after that. I appealed, of course. Sent photos of other garages just like mine. Brought receipts showing my workshop had been approved. I even got character references from everyone in our little restoration crew. The hearing was canceled at the last second. Dolores was at the country club that afternoon, smirking over a martini. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. Dolores wanted me out whatever it took, and she'd go nuclear to make it happen. Did I know how far she'd go? Not a clue. The private investigators, the fake complaints, even insurance fraud. It only escalated. 2 weeks after the canceled hearing, I caught her hiding in my neighbor's bushes, snapping pictures with a telephoto lens like she was with the FBI. I could smell her expensive perfume before I saw her. Afternoon, Dolores, getting into nature photography. I called. She jumped, said she was doing a property inspection for compliance purposes. Next thing I knew, neighbors were getting envelopes slipped under their doors, photos of my garage, handwritten notes, times of supposed offenses, excessive noise at 11:30 a.m., possible chemical storage. She meant WD-40 and a can of Coke. She filed formal complaints with the city, claimed I was running an unlicensed repair shop, advertising online, taking payments, pure fiction. But I'd spent too long in the military not to cover my tracks. I filed a Freedom of Information request at the city planning office, and what I found made my blood run cold. 7 complaints from Dolores, all targeting people like me. Single guys, blue-collar folks, people she decided didn't fit. A Latino landscaper, a black single mom running a catering business, an old widower who fixed antique furniture. All accused of declining property values, commercial activity, neighborhood concerns. Patterns like that, you see enough in the Navy, you know it's not a coincidence. It's evidence. I copied everything. Showed it to Mrs. Brianna, the retired teacher who'd brought me cookies my first week. She invited me in for tea, and her eyes got sharp. That woman, she's driven 3 families out before you moved in. Always the same pattern, target the working folks. Make their lives hell until they leave. Turns out, Dolores was even asking around about Rodriguez, my cop buddy, what he did for a living, if he had a record. She'd been calling in anonymous tips to his station. Loud parties, drugs, dangerous men gathering. Good thing the desk sergeant knew Marcus personally, or I'd have had squad cars at my door every Saturday. One week, she trampled Mrs. Brianna's prize roses, trying to get a better angle for her surveillance. That was it for Mrs. Brianna. She called a neighborhood meeting HOA board. Just coffee and cookies in her living room. 12 neighbors showed up, each with stories of Dolores's harassment and discrimination. That's when I realized I wasn't alone anymore. Bob, the electrician, told us about his van being reported as an illegal vehicle. Janet, the teacher, said Dolores filed noise complaints to stop her son from playing basketball. And Tom, the retired accountant, dropped the bomb. Dolores got him kicked off the HOA board for questioning billing from the management company, her nephew's company, as it turned out. He kept all the records boxes of them. The next day, Tom and I dug through the paperwork. It was fraud, plain and simple. Fake inspections, fees tripled overnight, $47,000 missing. Even emails from Dolores to her nephew. Focus violations on blue-collar residents to encourage voluntary relocation. It wasn't just harassment. It was a criminal conspiracy. Rodriguez saw it immediately. This is federal territory. Mail fraud, wire fraud, civil rights violations. The FBI dreams of cases this clean. We laid the trap. Kept doing our normal Saturday routine. Let Dolores watch us. She ramped things up, more violation letters, fake property assessors, even a lawyer's letter threatening to sue me for community disruption. But we were ready. Saturday came. Dolores positioned herself across the street, snapping photos, vibrating with anticipation. Rodriguez arrived with body cameras and paperwork, looking casual. Dolores finally snapped, walked straight into my garage, phone out, screaming at 911 about dangerous criminals and illegal business activity. I asked her to leave. She refused. Rodriguez flashed his badge. You should have seen her face. That can't be real. You're a criminal biker. No, ma'am. I'm chief of police Rodriguez, and you just filed a false police report. Sirens approached for real this time. 3 cruisers, 2 unmarked federal cars. Dolores dropped her phone. She was arrested for harassment, false reporting, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The FBI agent Martin showed me the real story. Dolores and her nephew had been running this scam in 12 different HOAs, forcing out families, flipping houses for profit. Millions stolen. Dozens of lives upended. Rodriguez grinned. Your Saturday garage sessions just took down a multi-million-dollar fraud ring. Justice felt like autumn air and chrome polish that day. The best part? The neighborhood came alive. We celebrated in my driveway, burgers grilling, kids playing, laughter where there used to be suspicion. Bob got his van back. Janet's son played basketball every weekend. Dolores and her nephew went away for a long, long time. Every family she'd targeted got restitution. My little garage turned into a community workshop, veterans teaching kids, people helping each other. You know, standing up to bullies doesn't just save your own skin. Sometimes it saves a whole neighborhood. Sometimes it sparks real change. 6 months later, we'd helped 17 veterans get jobs. State law changed. HOAs everywhere started getting audited. And Dolores? She still sends complaints from prison now about the food, the guards, the warden. Some people never learn. So, here's what I figured out. Bullies only win when decent folks keep quiet. If you fight back, really fight, with your head and your heart, you can change everything. Now, I'm curious, have you ever dealt with someone like Dolores? Someone who abused a little bit of power just because they could? Did you fight back? Or did you move on? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from, too. And if this one got you fired up, go ahead and hit like. Share it with someone who needs a little reminder. Sometimes the quiet victories are the best ones. Thanks for listening.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.